What is going on, everyone? It is Tyler McKinney back here again, and today we're going to get back into the XFL. Hopefully you liked my preview of the AFC and NFC championship games. If you want to see more content like that, you just let me know, because we will definitely be doing that, especially for the XFL. Now, if it's your first time here, glad to have you. If you're a return viewer, thanks for coming back and thanks for watching more videos. And if you haven't yet, please consider subscribing, guys. I really appreciate all of the help that you've been doing and spreading the word and getting this channel out there and growing it. It means a lot to me. Thank you very much. Now, remember, leave me those comments down in the comment section, because we will definitely feature those if you leave some good comments and some good questions, and maybe they might even turn into videos down the road. Now, let's go ahead and let's get into XFL, because we had a lot of stuff that we need to cover. So, training camp, I guess, is officially over, but maybe not really, because we have one last preseason game, scrimmage, whatever you want to call it. We have that happening on Tuesday. We've got 2 of those games, and then we're pretty much done. And so that's really all we got left. But training camp itself is officially over. What do I think of training camp? Well, we will definitely be doing a video grading each one of the teams for their, not grading them, we'll go through, we'll talk about each one of the teams, and then we'll do our second power ranking, and with that we will look at all of the different teams. But right now I just want to go ahead and I just want to say that the XFL did a fantastic job with their training camp. I gave it an A- for the first week. The second week I'm going to give it an A, and I'm actually going to overall we'll just leave it at an A, because I think they did a fantastic job with all of it. I loved all of the access that all the fans got. People were able to come out. They had people out there. They put out stories. They let the media kind of get into things, see how things were. They showcased what they wanted to showcase. They showcased their talent. All in all, they just did a really good job. I don't want to focus a whole lot on this, but I do want to just want to touch on that, because I really like the way that they did it. They gave us access, and they showed us really what they're all about, and kind of really setting up what their brand is going to be, and I thought it was fantastic, and I thought it was great. Now let's go ahead and let's move on to kind of some on-field and off-field stuff. So let's go ahead and first let's talk about just kind of a couple things that have happened. So we've had some player personnel changes and some things like that, but we had a huge one over the weekend, and that was that Luis Perez, he got traded to the New York Guardians for Chad or Charles, whatever you call him, Kanoff. And so the trade of those, which was really interesting to me, Luis Perez was touted as the guy who was going to be the quote unquote he was going to be the guy there in LA. He was going to be the franchise quarterback, and it just didn't pan out. And it really started when Josh Johnson was brought in, and Josh Johnson from day one, he was quarterback one, and it really did show in everything. And so it pushed Luis Perez back, and pushed him back so far that I don't necessarily think that he really fit in their system and in their style of play and what they were looking at doing from the get-go. And so I think that that's just probably a good trade for them. Now, New York, I don't know. They've got Matt McGloin. I don't think anybody's taking the place of Matt McGloin there. He's their quarterback. He's who they want. And so Luis Perez is probably going to fall down in the depth chart. He'll be a good backup for him, a guy that if heaven forbid, if McGloin were to go down, that Perez can come in there and take the spot and, manage the game for them if need be, because I do think that he is talented in that. But it is a shame, you had the guy who was supposed to be the number one guy there in LA, and it just didn't pan out. But hopefully, hopefully for Luis Perez, that New York is a different different place for him, and hopefully things go better for him in New York, and he really finds a contributing spot on that roster. But, that's just kind of one of many, many transactions. And you can definitely tell that these teams have been, and I think it's a very good thing that they've been in Houston together, because they've been able to see the talent. They've been able to work with the other teams to really figure out, okay, does this guy fit better on my team? Not my team. Okay, let's do a trade here. Let's get these guys, moved around and that, to really build out the best roster for all the teams. Because nothing worse than having a talented guy on a team and working in a system that he just doesn't fit in. But if he could just, get into a different style, maybe he can do really well. So I really like what they've been doing with the personnel and things of that nature. And that's, part of the grade that I gave him for this training camp, just because, granted, there's been a lot of transactions, but it's been pretty good overall. So let's go ahead and let's move on. We had some neat kind of tidbits that have come over the past day. And today, we got to officially see the first uniforms for the referees. And they look really good. They look really decent. I love the hard accents, with the triangles and, the sharp angles all over the place. It looks really nice for the XFL. It looks clean cut. Looks really good. I like the way that they had, them all set up in that with it. They look very, very professional. I like the pinstripes on, all of the referees' hats, and then the head referee, I don't know, or the head umpire, if that's what they're calling them, I don't know. But, having the different white hat, and it seemed to all fit, looked really nice, clean cut. I liked everything that they had. All of the branding on all of the, the sticks and the markers, and, the down markers, or the yard line markers and stuff. That was really cool to see that they've kind of, taken it to that level and really kind of, putting their stamp of approval on everything and giving it that XFL feel. I really liked it. And I thought it looked sharp. It looked nice with the XFL colors, the XFL branding on it. So they did a good job with that. Overall, I thought I was really, really good with their, official XFL stuff. I thought that was really neat. So we had 2 preseason games, I guess is what we're going to call them. And so we're going to go ahead and touch on those two. First and foremost was the game between the DC Defenders and the Seattle Dragons. And really, there's a couple things to get out of this, but before we actually get into the game, we got some information from the scoreboard. The scoreboard showed that, listen, we've got some new logos that we haven't seen yet for both of the teams, for DC and for Seattle. And both of them are kind of, around the whole idea of, using, the one is the DC with the the lettering and how the D is, and then the C kind of inside with that star and things. It looked really sharp, looked really nice. I really liked how they did that. And then the S for Seattle was kind of this dragon-y thing with kind of the fire at the top, and that I don't know. I'd really like to see a higher resolution picture of it to really get a good idea of what we're actually looking at. But yeah, both of those were kind of neat and kind of surprising to see this late in the game. But hey, I'll take it. And so it'll be really cool to see, as we watch these games on TV and stuff, to see those logos pop up will be a really neat thing and stuff. So that's pretty cool. And let's go ahead and let's talk about the game a little bit. Now, none of these games, I don't think, they're preseason games. We're not going to get a whole lot out of them, but there are some things that we can glean from them. One thing that I think we can glean from them, that I think both of these teams defensively are going to be pretty stout. I think, my prediction with the DC Defenders having a really good defense is going to stick. I think their defense is going to be, really, really good. It definitely seems like Cardale Jones, this is his team, and it looks like that they've really set up things to where he's going to be the focal point of this offense, and I don't necessarily think that they showed a whole lot with that in this game, at least from, the reports that I've seen and things of that nature with it. Now, Seattle's kind of a different story. I think Seattle, they've still got a quarterback battle going on, and it looks like BJ Daniels has probably taken the lead in this. It seemed to be when the offense was on the field with Daniels that they did a whole lot better than when they were on with Silvers, and Silvers actually threw a pick six, which is what cost them the game, and in this situation. So we'll have to. It was the difference in the game. Now DC scored to come back and pull ahead, but the difference in the game was the pick six. So I don't know. It looks like this might be BJ Daniels' team, starting day one and that with it. Just another thing to really see that, hey, you got to get on the field and you got to play, because once you get these guys playing, you start to see things, and so that's really cool to me to see that happening, and to seeing these guys get chances, like BJ Daniels getting a chance to really step up and getting a chance to play which he's never has in the past. So it's really cool to see these in Cardell Jones, and so once we actually get to some real football, I'm really excited, because we're going to start to see these guys really shine, and the NFL takes notice in these guys, and that. So it's really neat to see that stuff. Let's move on to our second game. And our second game, I don't necessarily know. This one is kind of more of an interesting one to me, because I don't think it really kind of showed what was there. So the Renegades definitely pulled out the game, and it seemed to be that I think they might have been trying things throughout the game, because it's like they scored early and then there was just a lull, and then boom, they scored again when they needed to or whatever. So it seems to be that I think that they're trying things here and there, the Renegades are, but it looks like the Renegades seem to be doing all right, and Nelson seems to be the quarterback. Now, I didn't hear anything else about anything, if Dungy got in there or what. But right now, it looks like Nelson seems to still be the guy. We'll see if Dungy, does take over or that. But we'll see how that goes. So, when looking at the BattleHawks, it looks like the defense pretty stout, looking pretty good. The offense showed some signs here and there. Again, it's preseason, and a lot of times on the offensive side of things, and the defense, they keep things pretty vanilla. But it looks like Ta'amau is going to be what he's billed to be, and is going to be a really, really neat and exciting player in this league, throwing the ball around in that. So I think that's really good, and that's really cool. And so that's kind of neat thing. Now, granted, what happened is that Dallas won the game, but they decided to go through and give themselves an opportunity to work on the overtime, and it seemed to be the overtime worked out pretty well, and it went really well. And again, Dallas won the game, and they also won with the overtime, 25-22. Yeah, 25-22. So yeah, they had some conversions on that and working on getting a chance to work on the overtime and how all of that works. So they kind of added that in. So I don't know what all to take from this. Just that we finally got our first, XFL games, and I'm just ready for February to come around and ready to see what we have. I mean, we are right there, and so yeah, it'd be cool. So pretty much training camp's done. We've got 2 more preseason games, and then we're there. We're right there for roster cuts, and that's the next thing that's going to be happening. When we talked about it before, they said roster cuts would be happening on the 21st, which is it's the day of the preseason game, so they must have to get their rosters down maybe by the 22nd. I don't know. So it'll be really interesting to see when they cut the rosters down, who's going to be on the teams and who are going to be the guys left out. Now, remember, they're going to take 40 players out of all of those guys, the 18 guys from each one of the 8 teams, and they're going to make a 9th team with that. And I don't know how they're going to do that. If they're going to get all the coaches together, they're going to put all of their, the players that they think are the best out of all the guys that got cut, put them on that 9th team. But they're definitely going to be doing that, and I'm really curious to see when they finally come out with the final rosters what all happens. It'll be interesting to me. The reason why I say that, for a couple things. One, I want to see who makes the rosters, obviously, but then again, I want to start to see if now, after the official rosters start coming out, if we start to see the XFL API released, we have no word yet on that. And if you notice, a lot of the larger sports sites who are covering XFL stuff, they don't have anything out there yet. So where I'm wondering if they're waiting for this moment when all of the rosters are cut down to the official 52-man rosters, if that's when we're going to actually see things happening on the websites, getting populated, things getting built, and all of that. So so in the next few days, I'm really going to be paying attention to see what happens with that, because I'm thinking that's why a lot of like ESPN, Fox, CBS, you name it, all of the other sports outlets, why they haven't done anything with the XFL yet, and that might be why they're waiting. And also too, it's been giving Champion Data some time to, build up the API and that. So I'm really, really curious to see, how that all unfolds in all of that with it. So that's going to be definitely something to be checking back with. So let's go ahead and let's finish out, though. I want to finish today out talking about something. And again, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to feature one of our viewers. And this is Crimson Shadow 94. And Crimson Shadow asks, the question is, does the XFL have better talent than the AAF? That is a really good question, and it's one that I can answer with a very quick a very quick answer, but I will go through and I will explain my thoughts behind that. And I'm going to say an emphatic yes, it does. And it all really starts around two things. One, quarterback play, and two, really the style of play that the XFL is playing. Talk about quarterback play. So I really do think that the XFL has better players overall than the AAF. But the fact of the matter is that football nowadays, it all stems from quarterback play. If you don't have good quarterback play, you are not going to have a good team. You need good quarterback play and you need good quarterbacks. So for the XFL to go out and pay more for the quarterbacks is a huge deal, and you will see that we're going to have a lot better talented quarterbacks in the XFL. Now, when it comes to things and that with it, I haven't gone out and looked at to see, how many, actual AAF guys are on rosters, on squads, that with it. I don't know what that might be something that we might do when we get official rosters and see, how many AAF guys officially made rosters. But as I'm looking at it, you're seeing a lot more of the guys have NFL talent. I'm not NFL talent, NFL experience. Whether a lot of the guys were on practice squads. A lot of the guys, these aren't just guys that were really good college players. These are guys with a lot of NFL experience, and the AAF had teams with NFL experience. But the other thing with it is that these quarterbacks, though. Not a lot of the quarterbacks were AAF quarterbacks. I mean, these are guys, you're talking about guys like Landry Jones, guys like Cardell Jones, BJ Daniels, Connor Cook, those guys. Now, granted, you have your Brandon Silvers, you have your Aaron Murrays, and, Luis Perez and Josh Johnson for a time and never played in the AAF. But, so you kind of had some of those guys, but a majority of the quarterback talent are guys that weren't in the AAF, weren't planning on being in the AAF, and I think that that's really going to shine and show. Now, when it actually comes down to the actual, how much better is their talent, I think that the talent's probably somewhere, let's say if the NFL... Right? Let's say if the best you can have is 100%, and let's say the NFL is like 90%, 95%. I don't know. Let's take it at that, okay? I'm going to say that the AAF talent was probably somewhere around a 65. If I'm being generous, we'll say 70. Whereas with the XFL, I'm going to say it's probably somewhere around a 75 to an 80. And talent-wise, you might even have a few of those guys that get up in the 80s. But overall average, I would say 75 to 80. But here's the big difference where I think the XFL is going to shine. The XFL has changed the game in a way that I think will make it that much more exciting, and that it will actually make the talent look better than what they are. They're making it a fast-paced game. They're really trying to put it to where we're going to get a lot of offense. Now, granted, we're still going to get a lot of defense, but the way that these changes are designed, they're designed to, one, benefit the offense. The offense is going to benefit from running faster, and having to keep things moving, as opposed to the defense, with that. The other thing is, if you remember, the way that the AAF did is they dumbed down the defense, which I thought was not, and they had to. They didn't spend as much time. The XFLs actually spent more time as a team than the AAF did as their teams, whereas they had their one camp, that was it. Whereas I think the XFLs really benefited not only from having a mini camp and a camp, but now they're going back home and they're finishing things out, to their home teams, their home areas, their locations. And so they still have, another a couple weeks-ish to really get things around. So, I think that they're going to be that much more further ahead. And you can already tell right now by what we're seeing that the play is quicker, it's faster than even the final product of the AAF. I mean, even in week 8 and stuff, we were still seeing things that were, teams having struggles in that. And remember, they had to dumb down the defense. They told the defense you could only rush 5 guys. They could only rush 5 guys, and those guys, had to be committed before the play, and they couldn't do any, funny stuff, and they had to show that they were coming, to give that quarterback an opportunity to read that stuff. And so you're not seeing that in the XFL, but it doesn't seem like the XFL needs it. It seems to be that these offenses are holding their own. Now, granted, we didn't see a whole lot of scoring. We saw some scoring in these 2 preseason games today. But I think, too, they're holding back and trying to figure things out and really trying to feel the timing of the game as opposed to really running their best stuff. And, I think they're, and still trying some things out here and there. So, yes, I definitely think, and I think that the style of play of the XFL, keeping things fast moving, going with these hybrid, very up-tempo offenses, and really changing the rules to, instead of dumbing down the defense, changing some of the rules to kind of benefit the offense and really incentivize things for the offense. I think that is going to kind of bolster and give kind of a little bit of adage to the play, to where the guys, they might be, let's say, 75-80 talent, but now, because of the changes in the way things are, the style of football is going to get them to like an 85 and a 90 to get them looking much more closer to the NFL type of stuff. And I think that will all around legitimize the league with it. I really, really do. And I'm super, super excited, for it, because I think that this is going to be something really neat. And once people watch, they're going to get hooked. And yeah, I'm already hooked. And, it just seems to just kind of keep going. And as things go on, I just get more and more excited about it. But yeah, to answer your question, definitely they have better talent, and you just need to watch some of those Twitter videos to really show it. And it makes sense to me. The AAF didn't really show anything before they started their league, and the XFL has been giving us everything since pretty much day one, and it's looked really good, and it's looked like football. So I'm totally excited for it. All right, guys, so those are my thoughts. I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comment section. All right, I know that you're busy. I know that I'm busy, so let's get on out of here. You have a good night. Bye.